All right, Shalom. I want to start by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Shema, Shai, by Shomer Kakwadash. Dub honor to the apostle of this great millstone. Shalom to the Akim, the pushing the word of sincerity and the truth. Yeah, I just want to do this lesson on this article. Just going through news. And this sprang out. I said I'm going to do a lesson on it through the spirit because it's indeed true. It says, new report calls today's children the sickest generation in American history. Yeah, and that's prophecy. I'm gonna get it in Ezra where the scriptures speak about how we're gonna be weaker throughout time. You see these kids getting progressively worse. Throughout social media, you'll see the common term "YN this, YN that," which is abbreviated for young nigga. And these jakes are becoming more and more abundant. Throughout America, there's always been children, but the amount of crime, the amount of just dilapidation throughout these different locations where mainly our people, the 12 tribes, are is uncanny for lack of a better term, and it's already been written, so we're just seeing these things play out, and take place in real time, And one few things that is causing it, of course, this food is not worth shit. Mass majority of this food is deficient. It's been stripped of its nutritional value. So you'll eat this food and you don't truly get the full benefits. And then genetics, these different, like Esau is gradually getting weaker, and us, the world is getting weaker through time. But see, these devils, they've always been a weak people. They're just culture vultures. All right, they just steal the ideas and they steal the talents of our people, top innovators and creators and things of that nature. I seen this video just earlier today with the first true car manufacturer, which was a so-called black man, which I didn't even know. I'm on this marketing site that's on social media. And, of course, Esau, he'll see the growth of our people and the development, and he'll take it. He might put you beside him, as it is written in Sirach. Suck you for your resources, then he'll cash you out. So this says President Trump's Makes America Healthy Again Commission released a long-awaited report about the health of children in the U.S. It pointed to 4 major causes of chronic health issues. Ultra-processed food. I didn't even know of that being a term. Environmental toxins, sedentary lifestyles, and the over-prescribing of medicine. Yeah. Hell, I was talking to a chick on the job, it's pretty much like a younger staff. And this girl threw out a term of what she has, and I never heard of it in my life. I told her that, so I never heard of that a day in my life, And there's so many terms that this devil gives you, So she was, she made a joke. I like, you take medicine? She was like, nope. So basically, I'm slowly dying. And I was like, I was about to just make a joke, like, we all is all in the same boat. Just dark, as the term goes, black humor, dark humor, So, but we have faith, we have hope. We're prisoners of hope that the Lord will renew us. The scriptures speak about that the Lord will renew Israel's strength. So all we have to do, continue to pray, fast, tap more into the spirit of Yahweh, Shema, Shai, because there is healing through the Lord's herbs. And mass majority of people don't have the idea of true health, true ways to fix chronic illnesses and things of that nature, which the word chronic goes back to the Greek word chronos, which means time. Because basically, if you have a chronic illness, they're basically saying it's only a matter of time before you drop dead. But a lot of those things can be reversed. I've seen videos and all, certain remedies. I've been seeing a lot of things pertaining to how powerful baking soda is. I've seen something a long time ago, baking soda and molasses, which it does to cancers, This guy was even speaking about how even a lot of these different cancers that are deemed as cancers are really have some type of parasitic background. So cleansing your body of parasites. That's why even with wormwood, which is written in Revelations, is antiviral, anti-cancerous, anti-parasitic. Because a lot of times Esau classifies these things in so many different names, but a lot of them have the same origin story, and a lot of it does spring to parasites. I was looking at this word. I think cancer, it means to be an actual crab. I think he was talking about from the description of how it looks. But a crab is like a bottom feeder. Something that's unclean. I think they're talking about how the tumor is created, but a lot of the stuff really how it produces and it lives and thrives. It lives off sugar, unclean food. So when you clean up your diet to the best of your ability and take what's necessary to purge out what's in your gut, because all diseases start in the gut, then that's when the healing process can start to come in. Eating right, sleeping right, getting your essential vitamins, purging, like I said, taking up a fast. These things are of a necessity, especially in these times, because, it's so dark here. Exercising, which is extremely beneficial, it's so dark here that if you go and neglect for days, weeks, months, and years, you'll start to dilapidate, man. Your mind might start pining away, and you start not having that same pump, so to speak, not having that same level of uptickness, and we got to stay on top of our game, man. Constantly striking. So this is 2nd Ezra 14, and I'll start at 14. Let go from the mortal thoughts, cast away the burdens of man, put off now the weak nature, and set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee, and haste thee to flee from these times. For yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter. Verse 17. For look how much the world shall be weaker through age, which is time. So much the more shall evils, bad times, increase upon them that dwell therein. Yeah, so it's going to gradually get worse, and it's even a lot of heinous crimes that take place because a lot of these people don't have the faculties to deal, man. So when hardships arise and things of that nature, and they go through certain things in their life, they blow up, and then they'll make a extremely docile, foolish decision, but they wasn't raised to have a strong mind, a strong spirit. A lot of these things that we like the older generations, and I was born in the 90s, but had fathers in the 80s, and we had fathers in the 80s, fathers in the 70s. They grew up in the 70s, 80s, 60s, and they had a very, very strong constitution, man. They wasn't easily moved, easily broken. They wasn't, they might have been going through, they working 2 jobs, having the world on their shoulders, and they always had a cheerful countenance. Not goofballing, but they still had that level of poise about them. Like I said, they wasn't, whining and always telling, man, it's so hard out here. Man, it's tough, man. I'm going through this. Man, look, that's the weak nature. And a lot of that time that comes from having a weak body or weak spirit. So let's say as time progresses and it gets progressively worse, we know that the house of David and the men of the hopeful elect are going to do what it takes to become stronger, because these times are dark and it's grim and it's only going to get worse. So I didn't want to make this too long, but we do have a fighting hope, and we have a chance through this word to make it. Scripture speak about many are called and few are chosen, and those that are called are going to do what is required to be of that chosen number, which is working, as it is written, to work while it is day, and the night cometh when no man shall work. So I just want to make this short and sweet, through spirit. And about giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Shema Shai, by Shema Kakodash. Double honor to the apostle and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom Akim.